Hi, and welcome to this information session about the Cross-Cultural Analysis January 2020 Short-Term Study Abroad Program. My name is Erin Kehoe, and I am the Study Abroad Coordinator here at LIM, and I am really excited to talk to you about this awesome program. So today I will be going over a brief overview of the program itself and our planned itinerary. I'll talk about the financial aspect as well as health and safety, and then I'll go through the application requirements and process. And of course it says questions at the end, but since this is an asynchronous recording and you'll be watching it on your own time, you won't be able to ask me questions now, but please don't hesitate to reach out by email if you do have questions once you've watched this recording. So first and foremost, we are talking about a short-term study abroad program. This program is 10 days long, including travel. And because it's a short-term program, as with all of our short-term opportunities here at the college, you would be traveling as a group accompanied by LIM faculty. And I actually got to travel on this program last year in January of 2019. Which was an awesome experience and lets me kind of give an inside look into what this opportunity entails. So in January of 2020, we will be traveling to Amsterdam in the Netherlands and London in the UK. So we'll be visiting two awesome cities, both quite different, but hopefully both providing really interesting chances for you to get to know more about the business, culture, fashion of Europe. So prior to your departure, there are several steps that you'll have to complete. One is that you'll actually begin your coursework. So you'll be taking a class as part of this program. I usually think of each of our short-term study abroad programs as a class with a travel component. So you'll begin that class online. That usually begins in October or so. And we start the course early before you actually travel for a few reasons. One, it obviously gives you the chance to learn about the host country's history and culture, as well as their fashion industries before you travel. So you're not kind of jumping into two brand new cities without any background at all. You have that knowledge underneath your belt before you ever leave the US. And another reason is that it means that we are not tied to a classroom while you're abroad. So while our group is traveling, we don't have any in-class lecture time. All of our time is taken up by visits, both to industry partners as well as cultural sites. So you may hear a lecture from a guide or from somebody who works at a fashion company in one of the two host cities, but you won't have to sit in a classroom being lectured to by a professor at all while you're traveling. So again, that coursework begins online via Blackboard around October and continues through your travel, and then you'll submit a final project once we get back to the States. That course is worth 3 elective credits, and those credits can be either general electives or liberal arts electives. It's totally up to you and what you need for your degree program, so that gives you a little bit of flexibility, which is really nice. In addition to your coursework, there will also be several pre-departure administrative steps that you'll need to complete. These include doing things like providing proof of your health insurance coverage abroad, meeting with a doctor to have a health clearance form signed, getting registered for that cross-cultural analysis class in SONIS, and a few other steps as well. These are things that I guide all of our students through throughout the process. So, if you are kind of saying to yourself, well, I have no idea how I would go about getting health insurance coverage for a different country, that's completely fine, very normal. I'd send you all of the information that you'd need as well as all the deadlines for these things well in advance so that you have plenty of time to work on them, and we can work together if you do have any questions or trouble completing them. Finally, there's also a required pre-departure orientation, which takes place towards the end of the fall 2019 semester, so that would be this coming fall. We meet as a group in person. I talk quite a bit about health and safety abroad, packing tips, money and finances overseas, food, electronics, and I also invite parents and family to that as well. So if you're parents would like to, kind of gain a better understanding of what our safety policies and procedures are, for example, that orientation is a really great time to do it. And it's also a wonderful opportunity for us to meet as a group in person before we actually travel in January. Okay, so here is our current itinerary for the program. Just a note, as you can see at the bottom there, the itinerary, because we plan so far in advance, is fluid. It's subject to change, but as of right now, this plan is looking pretty solid. So we will meet on January 3rd, typically in the afternoon or evening, at a New York City area airport. It's usually JFK, but it could be one of the other major New York City airports as well. And then we depart as a group on the same flight, and the next morning arrive in Amsterdam. While we're in Amsterdam, we have a walking tour of the city planned, as well as cultural and business visits. So again, we tried to really have a good combination of fashion and industry-focused visits, as well as culture and history-focused visits, so that you're getting both sides and you can really understand how the culture and history of a place have interacted with the business and fashion that's gone on there as well. We also always plan free time into the itinerary so that you can get out and explore the city on your own. So maybe if there's something that you really want to do, but it's not part of our itinerary, you would have that free time available to fit it in. And also, of course, our students often like to spend that time shopping, which can be pretty fun. So we plan to be in Amsterdam from January 4th through the 7th. And then on the 7th, we would leave and depart for London. As of right now, we're planning to take a train between Amsterdam and London, which is pretty fun. It's kind of a neat way to travel and to get to see a little bit of the countryside. So we'd arrive, again, January 7th in London, and we'd stay there until the 12th. We have visits planned to places including Kensington Palace and the Tower of London. And again, we're planning a mix of both cultural and business visits, and then free time so that you can get out and explore the city. And then finally, on January 12th, our group will depart London to return back to New York City. The program cost this year is $46.50. It's a pretty comprehensive fee, so it includes round-trip airfare from New York to Europe, transportation, that train that I mentioned between Amsterdam and London, housing at local hotels for the duration of the program, all of the cultural and business visits that are included in the agenda, the tours and guides that are included in the agenda, some of your meals. We typically will include between 2 and 3 lunches and or dinners, as well as breakfast every day. So you'd be responsible for some of your lunches and dinners, but you would always have breakfast provided, as well as the 3 credits of tuition. So that's, again, included in that program fee. Sometimes students get a little bit confused and they think, okay, my program fee is my travel expenses, but then I'm going to be billed additionally for the tuition, and that's not correct. So we wrap everything, including your tuition, up in that one program cost. If you're thinking about taking a class over the winter or a summer semester, doing a short study abroad program like this can be a really economical way to earn those credits while also having a travel experience, so something to consider. There is a payment plan in place, so you don't need to come up with this full amount just straight off the bat. The dates and amounts of the payment plan are listed on the application form for this program, which you can find on our website, and I'll talk a little bit more in a second about where you can download that. Because this is a short program taking place in January, note that federal, state, and institutional financial aid will likely not apply. However, I would strongly encourage you to check in and speak with an SFS counselor about your particular aid package. Occasionally, counselors are able to find funds from either a preceding or a following semester to help you cover the expense of the program. But that is really dependent on your aid package and what other expenses you have. So again, if that's something that you're interested in exploring, I strongly recommend that you speak with them, potentially even before submitting your application. There are some additional costs to consider outside of the program fee. So for example, if you don't yet have a passport, you would need to apply for one. Again, everybody's required to have international health insurance. Your current plan may cover you already while you're abroad, but if it does not, there are third-party companies that provide this service, and that I send that information out to all of our accepted students. The cost of international health insurance for a short program like this is very affordable. It's usually somewhere in the range of $20. Again, you are also responsible for food for any of the meals that aren't included in the program, subway and bus passes for each city, so when you're getting around, especially in your free time, and then any shopping and entertainment during free periods that you'd like to do. I do have estimates for each of these additional costs listed on our website, so if you're curious about what each of these looks like, that's a great place to go. As far as health and safety goes, that of course is our #1 priority whenever we're planning any program. We vet program locations very carefully, and that's also an ongoing process. So if something were to change in either Amsterdam or London between now and our program, and we felt that raised the risk to our travelers to an unacceptable degree, we would not hesitate to cancel the program. We've never had to do that before, but it is something that we keep in our back pocket if there is a situation that we feel would be unsafe. We have a whole slate of policies and procedures in place to help keep our students safe and healthy while they're traveling. They include things like, again, requiring international health insurance of all students. We also partner with a risk management company called International SOS. So the college pays for a membership with ISOS, and we pass that membership on to all of our travelers free of charge. So again, for accepted students, I will explain in much more detail down the road, but ISOS is basically a health and safety resource for before you travel as well as during the program. We train our faculty leaders very carefully on emergency scenarios and processes prior to departure so that they're ready in case anything does happen while our group is abroad. And again, we always go over safety and security at the pre-departure orientation as well, so that all of our student travelers are informed. So if you're interested in applying, some things to note about the requirements. #1, that you be in good academic and financial standing. So that basically means you have no holds on your SONUS account, and course registration is coming up. So that's a good thing to check anyway. The GPA requirement is at least a 2.5. And the class standing is that you must be matriculated at LAM for at least 1 semester before the start date of the program. But if you are a current student now, that means that you are definitely eligible to participate. So the deadline to apply for the January 2020 edition of this program is Monday, April 1st, and the application is available on our website. If you just Google LIM College Study Abroad, our site comes up, and if you scroll down a bit, you'll find cross-cultural analysis. When you complete your application, you should submit the completed form with supporting documents to me at studyabroad@limcollege.edu, and you'll also submit an initial $375 deposit to Student Financial Services, which you can either make that payment online at www.limcollege.edu/pay, or you can bring a check or cash into the SFS offices in person. When you make your deposit, if you can include the receipt or confirmation email that you get after doing so in your application packet, that's really helpful. Or you can forward it to me after the fact if you submit your application and your deposit on different days. So when you do submit your completed application to me, it will include the application form that you download from the website, an unofficial copy of your transcript that you download from SONUS. I ask you to write a short essay or personal statement, and there are instructions on the application form for what I'm looking for from that. And then finally, you'll also complete an interview with me once you've submitted all of your application pieces. And then finally, again, that $375 deposit to Student Financial Services. So that deposit serves a couple of purposes. It lets me know that you are serious about the program and about your application. And it essentially holds a spot for you. It serves as your first payment towards your program fee. If you are not accepted to the program, or if you ultimately decide to withdraw your application, then you get that deposit refunded back to you. So again, really, it either is being applied towards the program fee or it gets refunded back to you. So, you know, sometimes students are a little bit concerned about submitting that and then not getting it back again, but you get to keep it. As with all of our study abroad programs, there are limited spots available in this program. We really try to keep our groups to a small size, typically between 10 and 15 students at the most, because we want to make sure that each student is able to really have a quality experience. So when you do apply, you are evaluated and ranked based on the quality of your essay, the professionalism of the interview that you do with me, and your cumulative LIM GPA. This is what our website looks like if you haven't been there before. Again, you can always just go to the main LIM College, it's limcollege.edu, and then use that search feature in the upper right-hand corner to search for study abroad. We're the first thing that comes up, or you can just Google LIM College Study Abroad. And again, if you scroll down a little bit below the list of countries, you'll come to a link to the cross-cultural analysis page in particular, which includes a lot of the same information that I've talked about here today. So finally, I always like to wrap up with kind of coming back to why bother going abroad. It is definitely something that requires your time, your energy, your financial resources. So it is worth thinking about what the benefits are. Number one, it's a strong experience for your resume. So this is a great thing to list on your resume, you know, both for future internships and jobs here in the States, international experience and an understanding of business and the industry abroad is something that employers really desire. And down the road, if you're ever interested in an international internship or job, it's an awesome thing to have in your resume to show that you've already traveled abroad before and that you have this experience under your belt. Of course, the program is a chance to experience a new country and culture, actually 2 new countries and cultures in this case. And it's genuinely a really fun way to do it. It's a short program in the sense that you are not committing months of your life, but it's a long enough program that you really do get a good feel for both of the cities. Study abroad is also a chance to be a little bit more independent, to kind of explore that side of yourself and to get to learn more about yourself. And then finally, it's an awesome way to meet a great group of fellow travelers. So as you can see here on this slide, there's a photo at the bottom there of our students from the January 2019 group. We took a visit to Armani Silos, which is a museum based around Armani and the brand and their clothes. So we had just a fantastic group of students, and I think really traveling with other people brings you very close to them very quickly. So it is a fun way to get to meet new people and to kind of have these really fun experiences with them. And finally, just to wrap things up, I wanted to include some words from one of those students who did travel abroad this past January. She said, "This was my first time traveling abroad, and I'm so happy I got the opportunity to do so. The program was well organized, the professors were always around to help, the cities and hotels always felt safe, the field trips and industry visits were super inspiring and extremely memorable, and last but certainly not least, I made a ton of new friends. I would recommend this program to anyone here at LIM because I believe it is such a great and rewarding experience." So that is everything that I have for you here today. Again, my email address is shown there at the bottom of the slide, or you can always email me at studyabroad@limcollege.edu. Those messages come to me as well. And if you do have any questions at all about the program itinerary, the application, anything else, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm also always happy to meet with students one-on-one, so if you think that that would be useful, again, please just shoot me an email and we can get something scheduled. And I look forward to receiving your application soon. Thanks so much.